to Teacup Castle. As you can see, I am in fact back at Teacup Castle. I have moved out of the Teacup Chariot back to Teacup Castle to talk to you beautiful people. It's lovely to see you. Thank you to all of the sensational teacups that joined me on location yesterday while myself and Boffman were camping. I am very obviously no longer at a forest, at a lake or anywhere else that you might camp. I am home at Teacup Castle, which does mean that I can chat to you hopefully as per normal. I'm just hoping the gremlins stayed away while we were off camping. Hopefully that doesn't mean they're going to make a return now that we're back at Teacup Castle. Horrible little sods. But other than me giving out about the gremlins, I do want to say a massive shout out already to All Boxed Up and to Rob. 2 super stickers in the chat already. We have got the unboxing of the show, of course, from All Boxed Up. Thank you very much for that. We've also got the little foxy from Rob. It's a smiling foxy today, so thank you very much to Rob for that, and to All Boxed Up, both of you for your super stickers. I was like, what is that behind my head? See, when I'm chilling out in the evening and have the feet up on the table, watching my streams, watching my murders on the screen, I put the cushion behind me. Do you see though, when I'm streaming, it just gets in my way. I can't move, I can't talk, I can't express myself when it's in my way like that. But now that I've got all of that taken care of, now that we are officially back at Teacup Castle, bugs and gremlins and all, let me say hello to all of the wonderful teacups. I see Random is in the house. Hello to Random, making the most of those membership stickers. Thank you very much to Random. I see we've got Guess, I see Daz, I see Lovely Lucky in the chat, I see Gregory, and of course Rob, and who else have we got? Obviously we've got All Boxed Up with the super sticker. I see Shem, and hello to Shem. I think I've got the most. Yous have been doing a whole heap of chatting, lads. So it is back to be nice in the normal surroundings. We had a lovely time, really nice time. As you know, anybody who's with me a little while knows I absolutely love to go camping. We love going camping by the lake. We do a little bit of fishing. We're not normally very successful with catching things, but it's fun. It's fun. It's something a little different. Or I bring the Kindle, which I need a new one, but when I have the Kindle, I bring the Kindle and Boffman does the fishing. He's a little bit better at it than me. But never mind the fishing and the camping and the Kindle and everything else, because what we're here to talk about this evening is, of course, the football. Now, there's loads of stuff going on. We did get stuck into some stories yesterday. It's just because I was off camping. We did still have our live stream. We did still manage to go through a lot of stories. But there's plenty more to go through today. So as we start to get stuck into these stories, please do remember to hit the like button on your way in, boys and girls. 10 likes so far. I definitely mentioned more than 10 teacups there. So please do remember, smash the like button. It helps me out. It let people know that you're having a nice old time here at Teacup Castle and that they should join in as well. If you're new, if you're having a little listen, you're not sure whether to subscribe or not, please do subscribe so you will be notified of the next tea party. Now, let us look to the first story. Some of these stories, guys, you're going to have more information than me because this is just my scouting mission on the drive home from camping. So if there's any of these stories you have more information on, some of them are about your club, so you will just naturally know more than me. But I would like us to discuss them together. I'm going to tell you the story and you tell me what you know about it. It's like a new game, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But the first one is from Fabrizio Romano, because why would we do an entire transfer show and not mention Al Fabrizio? And he has said, this came out today, 1:20 in the afternoon. Curtis Jones out of the Liverpool squad today as he's not even on the bench. Liverpool in form, it's a precaution for the midfielder, still wanted by Inter as a priority target and more clubs this summer. So I suppose we've mentioned it on previous shows. Curtis Jones, will he stay? Will he go? He wants more minutes. He wanted away even when Arne Slot was in charge. He really wanted away when Arne Slot was in charge. It seemed to have died down a little bit then after Areola come in, and then it started to warm up again in the last week to week and a half. Curtis Jones wanting out. Curtis Jones wanting more minutes. Obviously, we saw the debacle then with the captain's armband, a whole big tantrum in a pre-season friendly about the captain's armband. There just seems to be a lot of unrest within the player. He just seems to be quite unhappy at Liverpool, whether it be the minutes or anything else. It seems to be not that he's purposely looking for reasons to be angry, but do you know when you're just done with somebody, whether that be a friend, whether it be a romantic partner, whether it be a job, when there's a situation or a person or a relationship that you are just done with, even if things kind of slightly improve or go the right direction, if they've already gone too far down the line, it doesn't really matter. The damage has been done. There's too much water under the bridge. And sometimes there's just not really going back from that, even if things have improved. So like if it's a workplace that you might work somewhere, the old manager was an old hag, you got a new manager, the new manager's lovely, but you've sort of thought to yourself, do you know what, I'd already half decided I was leaving, so I'm going to go. Bonkers says, hip injury, precautionary. Yes, Bonkers, I see you've just joined, so I'll reread Fabrizio Romano's tweet for everybody who has just joined us since I read it a moment ago. So again, from Fabrizio Romano, Curtis Jones out of the Liverpool squad today as he's not even on the bench. Liverpool in form, it's a precaution. So what Bonkers is reminding us, it's a precaution for the midfielder according to Liverpool, who is still wanted by Inter as a priority target and more clubs this summer. So just to reiterate, the club, Liverpool, are saying this is a precaution for the midfielder. Not that he's injured, it's a precaution. So just to reiterate that, make it clear for everybody who's just joining us. But if you're looking to sell him, and you don't want to injure him, you take precautions. So a player not being in the squad, a player not being on the lineup, a player not travelling or whatever it is, doesn't necessarily mean that they're injured. And when they say a precaution, it doesn't mean a precaution as in he's felt a little something, we've taken him off as a precaution, a la Mason Mount, because we don't want him to get more injured. Sometimes it's a precaution because you don't want him to get injured because you're trying to sell him, and if he injures himself, he won't be sold. My understanding is that there was a little fright with Joshua Zirkzee during the pre-season game yesterday against PSG that it looked like Zirkzee may have hurt himself. He was fine and carried on, but that would have been absolutely horrifying for a lot of Manchester United fans, because it looks like he is the only player that we might potentially actually sell this summer, despite needing to move a large number of them on. So sometimes what will happen is you won't play the player as a precaution because you want to sell them. So nobody's disputing the fact that it's a precaution. I think we've established that now. The reason for the precaution being taken is up for debate. So is it a precaution because they don't want him to get seriously injured? Or is it a precaution because they want to sell him and they don't want him to get injured and then not be able to sell him? That is probably where it comes into a matter of opinion. Let me see. Mr. DJ Milkshake in the house, hello to you. All Boxed Up is saying Liverpool are protecting their financial asset to prevent physical damage before dumping him. That's the side I'm leaning on. I mean, as I said, it looked like he wanted away, they wanted to keep him. That was under Arne Slot. When Areola come in, it all sort of quietened down and it looked like maybe he was going to stay, and then obviously all of a sudden the talk was started up again. Fabrizio Romano, one of the key people linking him to Inter, saying, that it's very likely that he will go, that they want him, that they're pushing for him. We then had the debacle in the pre-season game, the bit of an argument in the squad on the pitch in front of everybody. And now we have this, that he's left out of the squad as a precaution. So the club can call it whatever kind of precaution they want, but I think for most people looking from the outside in, it looks like a precaution because they don't want him to get injured, because they want to sell him. That may be totally untrue. Maybe he really does feel a little something in his hip and they just don't want to play him because they want to keep him fit for the whole season. If you believe that, you're absolutely entitled to do so. As most of you know, I do tend to err normally more on the side of the conspiracy theory. At this moment, the conspiracy theory is they don't want him to get injured because they're trying to sell him. That is what it looks like. If that's wrong, it's wrong. But, I mean, where is the fun in reading these stories if we're not going to speculate about any of them? So, we will keep an eye on that as it goes forward. We'll keep an eye and see does anything happen over the next couple of days. But I would suggest that if he's not going to be on the pitch, if he's not even going to be listed as a substitute in a friendly, that to me potentially points more that he's maybe getting closer towards the door or towards an agreement than he was the other day. That would be my thought process. But it's a guess. It is indeed a guess. Moonshine is here and says, Jones doesn't seem as if he is focused in Moonshine's opinion. Well, he was very focused in wanting the captain's armband, but he's not very focused now. And that's what I mean. I just think, do you know what? I think in his mind, he was already halfway out the door. And I just think as a human being, when you're already halfway out the door, to then do a U-turn and change your mind is difficult. Even though the manager has now changed, I think he had taken the decision, and to change your mind is hard to do. And I agree with Moonshine. I don't think he feels like he's 100%. I still feel like he stood with one foot out the door and one foot inside. And with all of the stuff that's now starting to happen, it's starting to feel a little bit aggy. And I just think, you know what? If this is the way it's going to be, it might just be better off. Yes, Moonshine, that is because I am using different software. That is why. Bonker says, Iraola explains it was a minor hip injury. Guess he's fibbing. Well, he certainly wouldn't be the first manager to tell fibs about players and injuries. I mean, maybe he's telling the truth, but I certainly don't think he would be the first manager. In fact, he's definitely not the first manager to tell a little fib when it comes to a player who's about to be sold. But maybe he's not. Maybe he stays. No, Mr. DJ Milkshake. No. We did a stream on that, so I'm not going to go back into it. But we did a stream on that at the time. Now, speaking of players being left out of pre-season squads, Newcastle have had to send home some of their players. This caused a bit of a kerfuffle. It happened the other day, guys, but obviously yesterday I was camping. I didn't have everything in front of me. I haven't had a chance to talk about it since. But it came out the other day. Shar, Miley and Hall had all left the group, the squad that were on tour, and were flying home to Newcastle early, and none were to be involved against Valencia at the weekend. Now, this in some quarters caused a little bit of conspiracy theory. So I am conspiracy theorising about Curtis Jones. Maybe I'm totally wrong. There were other people on the internet when they saw Shar, Miley and Hall being sent home. They conspiracy theorised and they said, well, Maybe one of them's an injury or two of them. Maybe they're having some little niggles. Maybe they're not feeling well with all the travel. Maybe one of them's going to be sold to Man United, even though we've been told over and over and over again he's not being sold to Man United. But it did send tongues a-wagging, so it did the other day. My understanding, based on reading the articles and the gossip, is that it's to do with fitness and it's to do with kind of nothing to do with being sold, basically. So this is in the Daily Mail. This is from Craig Hope. It's a little bit of an update, and I've lost my spot. So blah, 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 blah. Newcastle expect midfielder Lewis Miley to be fit for the season opener against Liverpool after recovering from a broken leg. So obviously, broken leg, serious injury. Went with the team for pre-season. Is now flying home a bit early, but he's expected to be fit for the season opener. He probably is just getting his fitness up, okay? So nothing too crazy from Lewis Miley. The game will come too soon for Tino Livramento. And let me see. Sorry, guys. I had it all saved for myself, but I was scrolling then. I went to scrolling. So sorry. I was flying. It was all so smooth that I lost my spot. See, there's another story at the start of this story that we're about to speak about, so I don't want to say anything about that until I start that story. No, I think I've got it all then. Yeah, so that is from the original one about them getting sent home, Shar, Miley and Hall being sent home. That came from Mark Douglas. And then the update on Lewis Miley, that came from Craig Hope. He doesn't mention, though, the other two. He doesn't mention Shar or Hall. He only mentions Lewis Miley and then Livramento separately. He doesn't mention Shar or Hall. But it did. It set the tongues a-wagging. I have to be honest, this probably isn't one of the conspiracy theories that I buy into. So I do buy into a lot of conspiracy theories. I enjoy a little conspiracy theory. They're good fun. They give us a little giggle, and sometimes they even come true. But I have to say, this one I'm just not biting on. I did see everybody sort of get a bit... I think some of it was a little tongue-in-cheek, to be fair. They were like, oh, they're getting sent home. One of them's obviously being sold. I do think some of it was a little tongue-in-cheek, but you will get people that will genuinely believe because they've come home a little early from pre-season, it means they're going to get sold. In some scenarios, I would look at it and go, absolutely. In this specific Lewis Hall scenario, again, I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. Not even a little bit. Absolutely just do not see it. None of them are going to be involved against Valencia, but I would imagine likely see them after that. And if Craig Hope is correct, Lewis Miley will be ready for the start of the season. But that is not all that's going on with Newcastle. So Craig Hope was also doing a little bit of talking about incomings for Newcastle. And he said... Newcastle identify João Palhinha as an option in search for experienced midfielder. Now, it came out the other day, talks about Højbjerg, and that was met with mixed sort of reactions. I don't know how everybody's going to feel about this João Palhinha link. Thank you. So Newcastle identifies João Palhinha as an option in search for an experienced midfielder. Talks continue over a move for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, but Bayern's Palhinha is now an alternative. So what do we think about that? How would we feel about that? I feel like Shem would probably be a little bit disappointed because if I remember correctly, I don't think Shem wanted Spurs to send or let Palhinha to go back. They obviously did. So Bayern, it was at Fulham, Bayern bought him. He played one season with Bayern, but he spent a little bit of it on the sideline. Then obviously last season he was on loan with Spurs. Spurs opted not to buy him and let him go back. And now he's potentially an option for Newcastle in their search for an experienced midfielder. What do we think? Is Palhinha a better option than Højbjerg? Because Højbjerg got such mixed reactions whenever he was rumoured to be linked. Do you think Palhinha is a much, much better deal? Now, just to give you a bit more detail on this story from Craig Hope, so I'm not telling you all lies, and then I'm going to come to your comments. So do get your thoughts in, get your opinions in. What do you think of those options? Good, bad, which is better? Should they get both? Let me know what you reckon. But this is from Craig Hope. Newcastle have identified João Palhinha as an option in their search for an experienced midfielder to fill the void left by Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. Talks continue over a move for Marseille's Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and a deal in the region of £13 million could accelerate over the next 48 hours. This came out earlier today. It came out, it was updated. So it was originally published at 2 o'clock today. It was updated at 6:30. So 48 hours is tomorrow, 2 days. Anyway, forward by 2 days. The Daily Mail Sport understands the 31-year-old has indicated he is keen on the switch, and new head coach Matthias Jessel sees the Dane as potential organiser in the base of his young midfield. However, there is still work to do on that transfer, and alternatives have been identified, including Palhinha. Aston Villa are also interested in the Bayern Munich midfielder, and 31, and he looks set to return to the Premier League this summer after spending last season on loan at Tottenham. Newcastle like the Portugal international, and he fits the profile of an older head they want to complement new arrivals such as Sean Sturr and Elijah Bamba. Sporting director Ross Wilson is prioritising a midfield addition and a new fullback, as Flossie mentioned the other day, with signings beyond that dependent on Jessel's assessment of what his squad then needs. So, the move for Højbjerg is moving along, but Palhinha is seen as an alternative, and it does specifically say alternative, not as well, not addition, alternative. So if Højbjerg does happen, it looks like Palhinha won't. Price shouldn't really matter too much for Newcastle because they've brought so much money in this summer. So you would think most likely it's going to come down to whatever they think is actually genuinely better for them. Bear with me, guys. It's getting a little warm in here. We got back not long before I went live, so I was charging up the old phone. The battery wasn't the May West after camping, but I need the fan now. It's getting a little warm in here for my taste. Now, he actually continues this, Craig Hope, and says midfielder Joe Willock will join Besiktas if they meet Newcastle's asking price, and sources believe there will likely be progress on that front. So maybe some money coming in for Joe Willock for Besiktas. Goalkeeper Nick Pope has also been told he can leave. No offer. Yes, because he was not included earlier. He was not included. It was the two newbie keepers. It was Hornacek and Yewen. So Pope wasn't even included. And basically it's understood that he can go if somebody was willing to buy him. Newcastle expect Lewis Miley to be fit for the season opener, but the game will come too soon for Tino Livramento. I read a thing earlier, Tino Livramento is in America, still in recovery. I can't remember who said that. I saw it on X. I can't remember who, probably Craig Hope because I see a lot of the Newcastle stuff from Craig Hope. But Højbjerg or Palhinha? I mean, my instinct is to just say Palhinha, because if Spurs fans wanted to keep him and he played in the Premier League last season and Villa are in for him, I mean, it just feels more sensible. But I mean, I don't know. Let me see what you guys are thinking. I see Rob is in the house saying Newcastle are doing loads of business. Well, to be fair, they're only going to take one or the other. They're not taking both. It's only one or the other. But they are doing plenty. Huge in the house. Hello to Huge. Gregory, I'm perfectly fine with my portable fan. Thank you very much. It keeps me all well and good. Does me rightly. So I'm perfectly happy with that. It's just that I unplugged it to plug in my phone charger is all. Let me see. All Boxed Up says Spurs need rid of those involved in a 17th place ×2, but refrain regarding some, but at least they brought in new blood and started getting rid of the deadwood. Absolutely. And yes, Bonker says PSG are closing for Zion Suzuki. That looks like it's ready to happen. I saw that actually last week, so that's been ready to happen for a little while now. I see we have Buddy and Wes in the chat. Hello to you guys. Nice to see both of you in the chat with us. Bonker says, I thought Felix Mecha was linked to Newcastle. No. So there is actually a story about that. I actually think I got rid of it. But no, he is not going to Newcastle. So there was a link, a very brief, tenuous link, but the price that he's quoted at for Mecha is 80 to 90 million pound, and apparently Newcastle are point blank refusing to spend that amount of money on a single player in this window, meaning they're definitely not going to go after Felix Mecha. So there was a very brief link, but there was nothing actually in it, Bonkers. So we have the update on that. Moonshine says Palhinha is definitely a better option. Buddy said it would be a good sign-in for Newcastle and he would bring experience. Let me see. Lucky is watching the Commonwealth Games. Enjoy to Lucky. Buddy is talking about Endrick. We did speak about this the other day, Buddy. I can't remember, were you on that show with us? I think we read there was 4 clubs that were linked to Endrick at the time, the mystery Premier League loan club. There was 4 speculated by the media. None of them were Liverpool, but we came to the conclusion, we didn't have a majority, there were some that felt differently, but we came to the conclusion that it would be a fantastic move for Liverpool. But whether you do it or not is an entirely another thing. Yes, thank you, Flossie. Flossie is saying Livramento is in America getting treatment for the injury he got during international duty. I knew I'd seen that. Thank you for confirming. Sometimes I whiz by that many stories. I don't be sure of myself. All Box Stuff says, does anyone want Piro? Been left out of the friendlies and doesn't want to leave Leeds. Clubs, please send in interest. All Boxed Up is on his knees with his cap in hand. I mean, how could you say no to that? Most people would say easily, but I mean, you got, if you don't ask, you don't get. It was, Buddy, you were here. I couldn't remember. Genuinely, if anybody is here for any length of time, my memory is literally the worst in the world. I don't remember anything ever. If you said to me, like, I was camping this morning, it should all stand out. What'd you have for breakfast? Who knows? Who knows? Guest says, I like Endrick, but there's not a lot of space for him. Yeah, well, it's already been confirmed that he's going out on a loan. Just nobody knows where to. Wes, Mama and Rob and Guess are my OG mods from before anybody even knew I had like a channel and I was a thing. They are the OGs. Shem is not pleased. Shocked. You'll all be shocked to know Shem is not very happy, people. Don't tell anybody. Stop the presses. Shem's not happy. No, he's not happy because the crap going on at this joke of a club, the more this pre-season goes, the more players are injured or not playing, and wingers are being sold or loaned out. Now only Tell is the only fit winger. I mean, that's reason to be annoyed, isn't it? We have the whole whatchamacallem thinger going on. Mason Mount injured, is he not? Is he injured? And that was enough to tip me over, and there's only one of them. So Shem not pleased whatsoever, and would like everybody to know about it. But I'll tell you what, they are not listed, Spurs, as being back for João Palhinha. So at the minute, the teams being linked to João Palhinha are Newcastle as an option instead of Højbjerg, and Aston Villa at the moment. That is where it stands. Now, another story, and this is a little bit of a weird one, guys. This is a little bit of a weird one. We spoke the other day about Middlesbrough trying to buying or deal done with Ashley Phillips from Spurs. And we said, well, that's 7 million. So it was 7 million that could go up to 20. 7 million guaranteed, up to 20 then in add-ons. It was deal done, here we go, over the line, happening, announced and agreed upon across the media essentially as being a deal that was happening. We said, right, there's a few quid in for Spurs. That'll go into the kitty towards some of these attacking players that they need that Shem is reminding us about. However, Scott Wilson, who originally broke the story, Scott Wilson in the Echo has come out and said, Borough's pursuit of Spurs defender Ashley Phillips placed on pause, and he's put that in quotation marks, so he's got that from somebody. He's placed it in quotation marks, and it's placed on pause after developments over the weekend. Proposed £7 million upfront deal is definitely not off, but all parties are assessing their options. This is the guy that broke the deal in the first place. Fabrizio and everybody come out and agreed, yes, it was done. The guy that broke it has now come out as of 6:30 this evening and said, it's not off, but it's now on pause while all parties assess their options. Why do we think that is? So Scott Wilson is the chief sports writer for the Northern Echo. He focuses on coverage of Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland. So he's more likely, based just on that, to have contact, I would say, at Middlesbrough rather than Spurs. But putting that placed on pause in quotation marks. So do we think, had they conducted an initial medical like what happened with Ederson and something showed up, do we think that they changed their mind, a different player, maybe better value, became available and they decided, well, do you know what, we don't want Ashley Phillips anymore? Do we think another team come in for Ashley Phillips? Do we think some other team looked at that and said, a defender for £7 million up front in this window is essentially for free? Do we think another team has tried to swoop in and hijack this and there's a pause because maybe Spurs are going to get more money, the player might go to a better team? Who do we think has hit the pause button? Obviously, it's not good for Spurs, though, because 7 million might not seem like a lot of money, and in this window it's not. But it was 7 million into the transfer kitty that they didn't have and won't have if this deal doesn't go through. And it is unusual. Like when it happened with Ederson, that it was, here we go, and then the deal didn't happen. Everybody was talking about how unusual that was. Normally when a deal gets to that point, it goes through short of anything crazy happening. So to have this, like, done, everybody across the board agreed that it was done, is a little unusual. And it's not the first time in this deal, because this deal was happening. Then it paused. Then everybody said it was done. And now it's on pause again. There's something unusual about this deal. And I think we need to keep an eye on it because there's either some unknown or unusual injury that wasn't really known before, or there is the possibility that somebody has come in to try and hijack this. Given the number of teams at the minute that need defenders, has the team gone and done a madness for £7 million? I don't know, guys. I don't know, but it's really unusual what's happening with that deal. Really, really, really unusual. All Boxed Up says, I do worry for Spurs as bringing in a load of individuals that need to gel very quickly and injuries are a serious concern. Their medical lot need upgrading, should have started there, not player intake. The thing is, they were always going to have to bring in players because De Zerbi just wouldn't have stood for anything otherwise. So they were always going to have to spend money to back De Zerbi. But I do agree with you, they should be looking at the medical department. Also, they should be looking at their pitch. Supposedly they are carrying on a review of that at the moment, just study into what's going on. That, I think, came out at the end of last season, that they had started that review project. But this deal, I'm finding it really strange for the same deal to hit pause twice. For a £7 million deal, it just feels odd, guys. There's something more to this story, and I'm just curious to know what. Is another team coming in? Could Spurs be about to not get 7 million? Could Spurs be about to get a higher fixed fee from another team? And that's the other thing, is the medical. Has something come up on a medical that was unknown? But that wouldn't explain a second pause. I just want to know. I love a mystery, but I love to know. I need to know. I find the mystery and then I need to find the solution. And as I said, that was money that was going into Spurs that now isn't, but it might be because they're about to get more. Wes is saying some Spurs fans are getting mad, saying that Maddison seems more bothered about the party life and going to darts rather than rehabilitation for injury. There's similar stuff going on with Marcus Rashford at the minute, and I'm honestly just loath to talk about it. It just makes me frustrated because pictures come out yesterday, I think it was, of Marcus Rashford on a boat on his time off after the World Cup, on his holidays. He was on a boat. There were some attractive ladies on the boat with him, a couple of other fellas, and there's a whole big hullabaloo about it. I am not particularly a Marcus Rashford fan. I would have absolutely loved for Barcelona to buy him. I think the relationship between Man United and Marcus Rashford ended, and both parties are now going back to their ex because we can't move him on and he's being picky about where he'll go. I don't just mean this from United's point of view. Rashford said he wanted a new challenge. United were happy to let him go, and now we're bringing him back. He's not even set foot on the pitch. He's not even touched a blade of grass, and we've already got this story. And I just think to myself, the circus that comes with him in England, because this was not happening in Spain. Does everybody remember when I said the environment in Spain seems better for him? It's more conducive to him being more successful. When he comes back to Manchester, all of the things that went wrong before are still going to be there. He's not even back in Manchester and we're seeing it happen. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I don't want him back. I would have preferred to sell him. He is coming back. We've given him a new shirt number. He's number 14 now. He's coming to Dublin. He's going to be on the pre-season in Dublin with the squad. And Michael Carrick, before he was even listed as interim, told us, it was quoted, it was put out there that he would be happy to have Rashford back. So it's not even a shock. But I think sometimes people can be very past remarkable on a football player's personal life. So kind of what's being said there about Maddison. It's not don't have an opinion, but it is remember your opinion is only half informed. So see there, people are saying Maddison shouldn't be playing darts. He should be focusing on his rehabilitation. I have multiple times said about Marcus Rashford, he should not focus on drinking. He should focus on turning up to training and doing his job properly. There's been many, many things said about players. So as I said, I'm not telling people not to have an opinion, but we do have to remember, like, our opinions are based on partial information. We also have to remember that they're human beings. Football is their job. And part of their job is staying fit and keeping their bodies healthy and treating it in a way that gives them their optimum performance on the pitch for the club that's paying them massive wages. However, when a player is on their personal time, if they're not doing something that's going to negatively impact their ability to perform, I don't really think it's any of our business, if I'm totally honest with you. I think sometimes when people are in the public eye, some people feel entitled to access to every facet of their life, including their personal life. And I just don't think that's correct. Who the hell are we? See, if they turn up and they do their job and they do it to the best of their ability, I don't think we get a say. We can't tell a player where they should be spending their summer holidays. Now, what I will say is, if there was bottles of beer all over the yacht and he was heavily drinking this close to the start of the season, I would have a much stronger opinion. Being on a yacht in the sunshine with some attractive members of the opposite sex is really just not going to impact his ability to play football in season for me. What people are saying there about Maddison, he shouldn't be playing darts, he should be focusing on his rehabilitation. Right, but for rehabilitation, he's going to be doing many things. One of those things is going to be attending physiotherapy, he's going to be doing exercises, he's going to be doing things to get himself back up to full fitness. So unless playing darts and standing up for 30 seconds to throw the dart, take aim, throw the dart, sit back down, is going to impact his rehabilitation, I think people need to just breathe for a wee minute. Do you know what I mean? I understand if he was skipping up and down the road, or he was skydiving, or he was doing something that's going to really damage his ability to come back and play football, or it's going to set back his rehabilitation. Darts is not a physical thing, guys. You don't have to exert a lot of energy or strain on your body to play darts, okay? It's not going to set back his rehabilitation unless he's like throwing the dart while hopping on the spot. Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes, yes, it's fair to pass judgment. Sometimes I think, do you know what? Including myself, because I do this all the time, sometimes we need to wind our neck in. And I'm very opinionated. I enjoy having an opinion. And there's certainly times I should wind my neck in. So I'm not trying to be nasty to people. I just think sometimes we need to check ourselves before we go judging everybody else. Let me see. Shem, speaking of injury, Shem is saying Maddison hip injury back again. And Solanke's ankle injury back, and Destiny is just injured all over. Well, I relate to Destiny because I am also injured all over. Flossie says every press conference is going to be about him. That's Marcus Rashford. All Boxed Up said, I feel for Spurs fans who have suffered badly. All ends up what needs to be done by the hierarchy has been playing as their noses on their faces for ages. Lucky is happy to have Rashford back, and we do have to remember that. I'm not. I think we should have just let him go. But there's lots of people that are very happy to have Marcus Rashford back. I saw clips of him today, and I don't know if it's just some people are more introverted, and some people are aware that no matter what they do or say, they're going to be judged and talked about. But I feel he didn't look happy, guys. He didn't look happy to be with the squad. Maybe he didn't look happy because he knows he's just going to be judged now. It wasn't his intention to come back. He wanted to be at Barcelona, and he is now fully aware that every single move he makes for the next, certainly the rest of the season, is going to be under a microscope, and maybe he's not looking forward to it. Maybe he's as unhappy about the situation as some of the rest of us. So the thing is, while I didn't want him back, he is back. He has been given a new squad number. It's looking 99% he's going to be with the squad next season. I do think that it may impact Dorgu, which I'm not happy about, because it's not that Dorgu isn't good enough to play over him, but if you're paying Marcus Rashford 300 grand a week or whatever, is Michael Carrick going to feel like he can't bench him for Dorgu? If he outperforms Dorgu, play him ahead of Dorgu. However, if Dorgu is outperforming him, I don't think Marcus should play because of his wage. That's kind of my concern. I just think it's a mess. I think it's a mess, and I think it would have been a clean break for the club, for the fans, and for him if it had just ended. But he's back now. And if he's going to play, then I hope he plays well. And I hope he excels. And I hope he becomes an important part of the squad. And I hope he learns from the things that went wrong the first time. And I hope a new atmosphere with a lot of new players, with a new head coach, with a new board that's not going to make the manager publicly apologise to him, I think is going to hopefully create a different Marcus Rashford than the one that left us to go to Barcelona on loan. All we can do is hope that it goes better this time, because he's here now. So he's not going to be here, and I wish him badly. We just have to get on with it now. It's happened. It wasn't what I wanted. It's happened. We have to just get on with it. But I do hope it's different. I hope we see the Marcus Rashford that enjoys his football and that works hard, because that Marcus is an asset. Flossie says it's a rock and a hard place. It is. It is. It really is. And I do feel sorry slightly for him as well. Not very, slightly, because he wanted Barcelona and they've publicly absolutely humiliated him by everyone except him. They've made it very clear that they just weren't bothered. I don't feel sorry for him having to come back to United, because he definitely had other options. He chose not to take any of them. So I feel sorry for him about the Barcelona thing. I don't feel sorry for him about having to come back to United, because he's chosen that when he had other options available to him. Wes says, same thing with us and Jones. Oh, he's scouse, but he treats the fans like idiots. Pain in the hip today, my ass. We did speak about my little conspiracy theory on Curtis Jones at the start was, I'm not sure if you come in halfway through or if you missed it. The very start of the show, that's what I was talking about, was Curtis Jones. I'm convinced it's just because nobody wants to get him injured before he gets sold elsewhere, is my thinking. Gregory says Dorgu and Cunha are on the left wing in addition to Rashford. Yes, I just mentioned that. I did just mention that. How many years are left on his contract? That's an excellent question by Mr. DJ Milkshake that I do not know the answer to. Let me double check it. How long is left on contract? 2028. So this season and next season. Too many, says all Voxed Up and Gregory. That's made me laugh. But look, we will see what happens in terms of Ashley Phillips, but I think there's something a little strange going on with that deal, which is what got us on to Marcus Rashford. We shall see. We'll keep our eyes peeled for more updates on that. But guys, the other player that I want to talk about to you guys is Omar Marmoush. Another one kind of similar to Curtis Jones in terms of just doesn't seem to be working out at the minute. Another one in terms of Marcus Rashford. Just see all of these players for different reasons in different ways. There's things that just are players with teams that just don't seem to be clicking. And so these quotes, the tweet is from Fabrizio, but he's using quotes from Simon Bajkowski, who's the chief Manchester City writer for the MEN. We mentioned him the other day. So Fabrizio says, Enzo Maresca on Omar Marmoush's future. The answer has to be similar to the one I answered about James Trafford. James Trafford, who's just completed a move to Leeds, by the way. And then the MEN, the Man City correspondent, Simon Bajkowski, has said, players work every day. They want to play. So when they don't play, they are not happy. So both quotes from Enzo Maresca. Players work every day. They want to play. So when they don't play, they are not happy. The answer has to be similar to the one I answered about James Trafford on Omar Marmoush's future. Well, James Trafford's future was away from Man City. James Trafford's future was with another club. James Trafford's future was to be sold. So when Enzo Maresca says the answer about Omar Marmoush's future has to be similar to the one I answered about James Trafford, when players don't play, they're not happy, they want to play. Does that mean Omar Marmoush is leaving Manchester City? Has this been bubbling away and I just didn't know about it? Nobody told me this was happening. I don't know. But these were the quotes, and I just find to liken him, of all players, to a player that you've just sold, I do find a little odd. Do you know what I mean? If you're not planning on selling him, why would he be the player that you would compare him to? It just seems odd. Shem says, Maresca sounds like he did at Chelsea. That was quick. Well, he is the same person, so I wouldn't expect how he speaks to change. He is the same human being. But I did have a little look into it then, and there was a whole world of news and rumours around Omar Marmoush that I had absolutely not informed myself on. So, there was quotes linking Omar Marmoush to Spurs in January. There was also links to Villa, or interest from Villa, since January. There's also links between Omar Marmoush and Newcastle. So I just thought, what a random collection of clubs. Spurs, Villa and Newcastle. Now, according to this, because I've kind of amalgamated some different reports, Spurs really like him. Really, really like him. There's a long-standing interest. There's previous quotes from ex-players and from people associated with the whole thing, sort of linking him to Spurs, showing interest from Spurs. Mido had texted Daniel Levy when he was still at Spurs saying, you know, keep an eye on him, follow Omar Marmoush, etc., etc. There's a whole thing. And then supposedly there is also Newcastle, who have loads of money because they've sold players, and according to these reports, need a Gordon replacement, even though they've bought wingers, but they need a Gordon replacement, and they might want him. Supposedly Barcelona have a long-term interest in him, but he's not a top priority for them. And also Villa are currently looking at winger options. Supposedly, Roberto De Zerbi is highly keen on adding the versatile forward to his ranks to upgrade the squad's current attacking options. While Marmoush is heavily coveted, Spurs are concurrently weighing up a double swoop From City, that includes winger Savinho alongside structural interest in Cody Gakpo. And it's at the point now where Spurs are being linked to that many different players. There will have to come a point where you stop taking some of the links seriously. But then according to this, because I was like, who has actually linked Newcastle? Like, I want to know who did it. So hold on till I get you the name. I got the name. Where'd it go? Sorry, I really went into a bit of a deep dive on this, so I just want to blah, 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 blah. Where'd it go? Because it was a reasonable publication. When I saw who said it, I was like, oh, that's a bit unusual. Sorry, guys, I've lost it. I'll get it back up. So, caught offside. But there was somebody else. There was another one, but anyway, caught offside have definitely said it. Team Talk also said it in mid-July. And given that we're well into August now, mid-July apparently, he's frustrated with his lack of minutes under Enzo Maresca and was prepared to hold... Well, sure, Enzo's only in the door, so that makes no difference. High on their transfer list. Caught Offside published an exclusive update stating that Newcastle had officially placed Marmoush high on their transfer list as a direct replacement for Anthony Gordon. Apparently there's a 60 to 65 million euro asking price. And while Spurs really want him, De Zerbi really want him, they're looking at Gakpo and Savinho. And will City sell 2 players to Spurs? It seems a little bit messy. It's a lot of speculation, guys, to be honest. NS Sports is with us. Hello to you. Mr. DJ Milkshake says he wants to play and he's not playing over Haaland. Fairs. I've no problem with selling Marmoush. And I think that's quite fair. Because at the end of the day, who is going to play over Haaland? Absolutely nobody. So if the player wants more minutes, he very obviously knows he's not going to get more minutes. He's been upfront. He's had a direct conversation with the club. The club have said, look, we understand, we're open to selling you, bringing a few quid in. There's suitors out there they could get money from. I think it makes sense for everybody. It's not that he's bad, it's that he's not Haaland, but I mean, who is? So I don't think that's really an issue. But it seems to be, I don't know about this Newcastle stuff, guys. I feel like people are just saying, well, Newcastle have money, this player's available, maybe Newcastle will buy them. The thing is, Newcastle, maybe they will be interested, okay? But Newcastle's entire strategy so far this summer has been younger, inexperienced European players. That has been their model so far this summer. That is what they've looked at. Every transfer they've got over the line and the ones that have been hijacked, that is what they've looked at. In all positions, it has been European 20 to 24, 40 million pound or so signings. So the 2 we've looked at today, they just don't fit into that. None of the ones we've looked at today fit into that. And so I can see them departing from that in the midfield because they've lost experienced players in the midfield. But I don't see them doing it across the board when it's not what they're looking to do. It's not their current strategy. Do you know what I mean? So Spurs seems more likely. The problem is Spurs already want Savinho and Gakpo. When are they going to get time to do Marmoush? I'll be honest, if I was only able to do one deal with Manchester City, I would prefer to buy Marmoush than Savinho. I think he'd be far more effective. I'd take Savinho at United, or not Savinho, I'd take Marmoush at United, you know. I think he's decent. I think there's a good player. I just think it's unfortunate he is currently the backup to Haaland, which is just outside his control. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's going to get minutes there. Bear with me just a second. Mr. DJ Milkshake says, I will say Marmoush's biggest problem is he can't time his runs properly. He gets caught offside 3 to 4 times a game. But do you think that's potentially because he's getting rusty? He's not getting a run at anything. He's not getting into the swing of things. He's not getting any consistency. He's not ever going to get into a rhythm because he's just never going to get enough games or time in a row to get into a rhythm. And I think when you're not in a rhythm, you end up just making silly mistakes or things you wouldn't normally do, if that makes sense. So I think potentially he would work better or perform better in a team where he's going to have more of a run at games in a row, if that makes sense. I think it's easy to do silly things like get caught offside over and over when you're just, every single match for him is like after an international break because he's such gaps between his minutes. Imagine every game you play is like off the back of an international break, that sort of a gap. I think that's why those things can happen. Now, maybe he would go elsewhere and it just wouldn't work, but I don't think it's possible to judge him on his time at City overall because he's just not had a run at it. And I don't blame City. Everybody would play Haaland, but that doesn't mean that Marmoush can't be good for somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Flossie said, we are being linked to players from everywhere. It's because you have money. And that's it. Like, you read the reports. And a lot of them are, well, Newcastle have money and they need a replacement. Which tells me a lot of the time the people writing these reports also have no idea about your transfer window because it would take them 2 seconds to look at the players you've already signed. You've already bought a winger. You've already bought midfielders. I'm not saying you won't buy more, but the way it's written, it's people taking 2 and 2 and just making an assumption. It's not, to me, what we do, we're fans, okay? We see the stories and we come up with theories as fans. It's speculation, it's opinion, it's a chit-chat. For me, though, journalists have a job to get informed. They have a job to bring information and give information, factual information, based on their research. If it's an opinion piece and you think, well, Newcastle have money and they've sold a player in this position, so maybe they'll do this, make it clear that it's an opinion piece. Because there's a lot of opinion pieces being written and put forward as researched articles. And then you read the articles and actually they've not really done much investigation at all. And so you are, Flossie, I've seen it, you're being linked to players all over the gaff. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. But I'll tell you what, these links weren't all happening before, not all these. And a lot of them just don't make sense with what you guys have done so far. So a lot of them I just don't believe, if I'm totally honest. But we shall see. We shall definitely see. Mr. DJ Milkshake says City would rather keep Savinho. Marmoush doesn't work on the wing. And that's the thing, that might work out. So it may be the case that Spurs decide to go forward with Gakpo and to then go forward with Marmoush instead of Savinho if they're only going to take one off City. And then both could end up being winners. Do you know what I mean? All Boxed Up says, I find it hilarious. Maresca did a cull at Chelsea and told the bosses the players using and ditched half to the reserves. They fell out with him. Alonso weeds them out and they're happy. Hypocritical. I don't think it is hypocritical. I'll be honest, All Boxed Up. I don't think it's hypocritical at all. I think it's learning from your mistakes. I think they had a really good manager who was doing the right things that were working. At the time, it didn't fall in line with the project they were trying to follow. They wanted to stick to the project, so they brought in somebody that they thought would do so. That didn't work out. And I think at the end of that, they reassessed their project. They realised that maybe the guy they had was doing the right thing and that maybe they needed to tweak their project. Their CEO came out and said as such, a representative from Blueco came out and said, you know, we realised that maybe we need to tweak our project. And now they've tweaked it. They've brought in a manager, because that's what he's behaving as, and they're allowing him the freedom that they didn't allow to Enzo Maresca. So I don't think it's being hypocritical. I think they learned from the mistake they made. Do you know what I mean? Let me see. Mr. DJ Milkshake says, his passing is a bit subpar too. I want my front man to score goals, but not at the detriment of the team. He can be a bit selfish. Selfishness I don't like. That's one I don't have a lot of patience for, is selfishness. I don't like that. We see a lot of that at United, especially with younger players. And you do see it, you know, the younger player is, but selfishness annoys me. If the cross is there, cross it. If the cutback's there, cut back. If it makes more sense to shoot, then shoot. But don't shoot if there's a cross or a pass or something better available or a layoff that's there. Selfishness gets to me. That one I don't like. But guys, we are already over an hour. Love it. The time just flies when we're having a good old natter, doesn't it? The time definitely flies when you and I are having a good old natter on the streams. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I will be back with you all tomorrow, normal time tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Shout out to you guys for being here. Thank you so much for taking part, for getting your opinions in the chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you also very much to Rob Always United with the Smiling Fox super sticker, to All Boxed Up for unboxing our show, and to all of you guys just for being very wonderful teacups. If you have not done so, smash the like on your way out the door. If you're new, please do subscribe to Spill the Tea Lou, where we have the tea getting spilled on the daily. Go off and enjoy your evening, folks. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to get a bit of big news. I'm sick of waiting for big news. I want it now. I want the tea now. So enjoy your evenings, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.